Nero is remembered as one of Rome's most cruel and problematic emperors. He ascended to the throne at a very young age, just 16 years old, and his reign was marked by tragedies and decisions that shook the Roman Empire. Among his most notorious actions are the devastating fire that consumed part of Rome, the violent persecution of Christians, and even the murder of his own mother. His story is full of intrigues, betrayals, and ambitions that ultimately shaped his destiny as the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Before continuing with the video, remember to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive notifications of new videos. That way, you won't miss any new content. Nero was born on December 15, 37, in a city called Antium, near Rome. His birth name was Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus, and he came from a very prominent family. His father, Gnaeus Domitius Ahenobarbus, was the grandson of Mark Antony and Octavia Minor, making Nero the great-nephew of Rome's first emperor, Augustus. However, Nero's family had a tarnished reputation due to scandals. His father was known as a troublesome man and was accused of treason, adultery, and even incest. These accusations only faded away after Emperor Tiberius died, but the family's reputation was already compromised. Nero's father died when he was just 2 years old, leaving him orphaned and under the care of his mother, Agrippina, an equally controversial figure. Agrippina was the sister of Caligula, another emperor infamous for his madness and cruelty. Initially, she and her sisters were favored by their brother, but their relationship deteriorated quickly. When Nero was just a baby, Agrippina became involved in a conspiracy to overthrow Caligula, but the plan failed. As punishment, she was exiled, leaving Nero in the care of his aunt. During this time, Caligula confiscated Nero's inheritance, but everything changed when Caligula was assassinated and Claudius became the new emperor. Claudius, moved by Agrippina's situation, allowed her to return from exile and reunite with Nero. Agrippina seized this opportunity to secure a bright future for her son. She married a wealthy and powerful man, amassing a great fortune. Later, she managed to marry Claudius himself, her uncle, even though this was considered improper in Roman society. As the emperor's wife, Agrippina convinced Claudius to adopt Nero as his son and heir, ensuring that he received an impeccable education under a renowned tutor, Seneca. Over time, Claudius began to realize Agrippina's intentions and regretted his decisions. He planned to favor his biological son, Britannicus, as heir to the throne. However, Claudius mysteriously died during a banquet, supposedly poisoned by Agrippina, and Nero ascended the throne at the age of 16. At the beginning of his reign, Nero was influenced by his mother, Seneca, and the commander of the Praetorian Guard. He sought to please the people and restored some of the Senate's power. However, Nero disliked political involvement and preferred to dedicate his time to artistic and personal pursuits. Soon, conflicts began to arise, especially with his mother. Agrippina, displeased with Nero's relationship with a former slave and his growing independence, tried to reassert her influence. Nero, in turn, began to distance himself from her. The situation became even more strained when Britannicus, Nero's half-brother, reached adulthood and started being seen as a rival for the throne. Shortly afterward, Britannicus died under suspicious circumstances, possibly poisoned. After this event, Nero expelled Agrippina from the imperial residence, ending her direct control over him. Even so, his mother remained an important figure in Rome for some time, although her relationship with Nero was never the same. These early years of Nero's reign were the most peaceful of his rule, but over time, his decisions became increasingly impulsive and destructive. In the ancient city of Misenum, the relationship between Agrippina and her son Nero, once close, began to deteriorate rapidly. Nero was determined to take full control of power and started disregarding his mother's authority, leading to growing tensions. By the end of 58, things became even more intense. Accusations emerged that Agrippina, along with soldiers and senators, was conspiring to overthrow Nero. Additionally, she discovered that Nero was secretly involved with Poppaea Sabina, the wife of his friend Otho, who would one day also become emperor. This revelation was dangerous for Nero, as it could further tarnish his reputation. Nero knew that as long as Agrippina was alive, he couldn't marry Poppaea, especially because it would require him to divorce his current wife, Octavia. Thus, he decided he needed to get rid of his mother. However, the plan was only executed in 59 when Nero devised a cunning strategy. He ordered the construction of a boat designed to sink while Agrippina was on board, making it appear as an accident. When Agrippina boarded, she initially believed it was just a peaceful trip. But she soon realized something was wrong, especially when a lead structure on the boat's ceiling collapsed on her. Fortunately, she survived the impact. The crew, realizing the plan had failed, tried to sink the boat, but Agrippina managed to swim to shore, where she was welcomed by a crowd of admirers who knew nothing about the assassination attempt. Even so, the danger wasn't over. During the confusion, a friend of Agrippina was drowned by rowers who, believing she was Agrippina, tried to ensure the plan's success. When Nero learned that his mother had survived, he sent assassins to finish the job. After her death, Nero was haunted by nightmares and guilt, but his stance as emperor became even more rigid and paranoid. He dismissed advisors, accused allies of treason, and further damaged his relationship with the Senate. Nero also caused personal scandals. He divorced and executed his first wife, Octavia, to marry Poppaea. However, he later killed her in a fit of rage, even though she was pregnant. 2 years later, Nero married a young man named Sporus, who resembled Poppaea physically. In a disturbing ceremony, he even had Sporus castrated before the wedding, possibly driven by guilt over Poppaea's death. Meanwhile, the empire was facing crises. In 64, a massive fire ravaged Rome for over a week, destroying much of the city. Many believed that Nero had ordered the fire, but he tried to deflect suspicion by blaming the Christians. This accusation sparked a wave of brutal persecutions, with many being killed in public spectacles. The cost of rebuilding Rome worsened the empire's financial problems. Taxes increased, and the currency lost value, leading to widespread discontent. In 68, a rebellion led by Gaius Julius Vindex marked the beginning of the end for Nero. Despite the initial defeat of the rebels, support for Nero quickly waned. Governors and troops refused to obey his orders, and he found himself without allies. Desperate, Nero attempted to flee Rome, but abandoned by all, he decided to take his own life on June 9, 68. His last words were, "Too late. Is this loyalty?" After his death, both the people and the nobility celebrated, and his name was erased from monuments. Thus, the reign of the Julio-Claudian dynasty came to an end, marking the start of the chaotic period known as the Year of the Four Emperors. If you enjoyed the story and want to support the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You can also become a member to further encourage the content. See you next time.